Hello, today we're going to look at signed numbers and the addition rule. So we're assuming here that you already know how to add two numbers, whether they're whole numbers, fractions, decimals. If you have problems with the general addition, make sure you look at the review sections in the beginning of this book. Okay, so today we're going to focus on the signed part of it. When is it positive? When is it negative? But before we start with the addition, we're going to look at some terminology. So we have what are called counting numbers, and these are the integers that start with 1, 2, 3, when you're asked to count something, the numbers that you use. We also have whole numbers, and these are the counting numbers plus the number 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Next we have integers. So these are the whole numbers plus the negative of the counting numbers. So things like negative 52, negative 36, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Next we have fractions, and fractions are any number that can be written as an integer divided by a non-zero integer. So a third, 4 over 2, 0 over negative 3, negative 5 over 124, and the list goes on and on and on. And then we also have decimals, things that have a period, 0.23, 4.325, 0.00004, 8.7653828, and so on and so on. And then we have what are called rational numbers. Rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction. Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be written as a fraction. Their decimal equivalent does not end and it does not repeat. So any number that's rational, if I write it as a fraction, I can change it to a decimal, and their decimals either end 0.25 or they repeat 0.2525252525 forever and ever and ever. Irrational numbers, they neither repeat nor end. Some examples include pi, the square root of 2, e, and so forth. And the last terminology we're going to look at, the last term, is absolute value. The absolute value is the distance a number is from 0 on the number line. Remember that distance is something that's always either 0 or positive. So if you're looking at the absolute value of 0, it's 0, but the absolute value of any other number is positive. So we'll do some examples of that. So find the following absolute values, and we have these two vertical lines on either side of the number, and that denotes the absolute value. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So remember, again, this is the distance from 0, so it's always just the positive version of the number. Absolute value of 0 is, as we said before, 0. I can have the absolute value of a decimal number, so the absolute value of negative 2.6 is positive 2.6. The absolute value of 5.3 is 5.3. And the absolute value of negative 0.003 is positive 0.003. Now we look at the addition rule. We're going to break this down into two categories. The first of which is the addition of two numbers that have the same sign. We add the absolute values of the numbers and then keep the shared sign. So 5 plus 12, they're both positive, so my answer will be positive, and I add 5 and 12, and I get 17. Here I have negative 4 plus negative 13. They're both negative, which means my answer is negative, and I add the absolute values. The absolute values are 4 and 13, and 4 plus 13 is 17, so I get negative 17. 19 plus 27, again, they're both positive, so I just add them, and I get 46. Then I have negative 23.3 plus negative 29.8. Again, they're both negative, so I'm going to add their absolute values, the positive 23.3 plus positive 29.8, and I get 53.1, slap back on the negative. Negative 45 plus negative 87, again they're both negative, so I add the absolute values. I add 45 to 87, and then my answer is negative of that, so I get negative 132. 9 plus 12, they're both positive, so I just add them, and I get 21. The second type is the addition of two numbers with different signs. What we do is we subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value and keep the sign of the larger in absolute value number. So again, we'll do some examples. So 5 plus negative 12. I look at their absolute values, 5 and 12, and I subtract them. So I get 7. And then I ask myself, which number is larger in absolute value, the positive number or the negative number? So the answer is negative 7 because the negative 12 is bigger. For B, I have negative 4 plus 13. Again, they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract 4 from 13 to get 9. And then my answer is positive 9 because the positive 13, the positive 13 is bigger than the negative 4. So my answer is positive 9. For C, I have 19 plus negative 27. So again, I'm going to subtract in the absolute values. So 27 minus 19 is 8. The larger number is negative, so my answer is negative 8. 7/8 plus negative 3/2. Again, I'm going to take the absolute values and I'm going to subtract 7/8 from 3/2. And I'm going to get 5/8. And then the answer is going to be negative because my larger value is the 3/2, which is the negative. So I get negative 5/8. And again, if you have trouble adding or subtracting fractions, make sure you look at the review section from the beginning of the book. Part E is negative 45 plus 87. I will do 87 minus 45 and then keep that answer because the larger number is positive. And I get 42. For my last one, I have negative 9 plus 12. The positive number is the larger number, so my answer is going to be positive. And then I subtract the absolute values, and I get 3. Okay, so again, we're focusing here on the signs of the answers, and I'm assuming we already know how to do the addition. So read through the book, again, especially the review sections in the beginning if you do have trouble with the addition part. Try the homework and let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.